Monday morning. So it got cold last night, and I do have a little bit of condensation here. I don't know if you can see that. Not much. Just over this panel, a little bit over there. Nothing out here. Well, a little film there. See, out here doesn't get any. But the walls, nothing. No condensation on the walls. So that's about the worst that I've gotten. I'm not sure what the temperature was last night, but howdy. Hey, I'm sitting here this evening preparing to make my video before the sun goes down so I can get it uploaded for the day. I got myself, so got my laptop set up here. I got some yerba tea over there and some honey to go in it, and my tripod there. And I'm going to set this up, and I'm going to scroll through the comments that I've been getting and try to answer some of the comments on this video. I've been neglecting the comments, and I hope you all don't take that personal. I just haven't been able to devote the time to it. So I have read every comment, though. I always read everybody's comment. So I will try to respond to a couple of them on the video this time rather than type out stuff for you. So anyway, here we go. I'll get set up. Okay, looks like the tripod's in place. Is that good enough for you guys? Looks like the selfie thing's focusing better. Maybe it's distance that matters. I don't know. Anyway, just if you're curious, this is the kind of mobile hotspot I use. It's a Verizon. Oops, upside down. Verizon Jetpack. I've had it for a while. I didn't upgrade it with my phone because I didn't think I needed to. It works fine. I get pretty good, internet access for my computer and everything through this thing, and it works just about anywhere. I've been out in a lot of places where my cell phone won't work, and for some reason this does. So go figure. Anyway, it's a pretty good thing. This is the one. However, I know that there's a guy that uses this platform but sells his own software for it, his own system. Okay, got my laptop up here and I'm looking at some of the comments that were left, over the last 24 hours or so. Lots of them. Every comment is valuable to me. I'm just going to pick some of them out to comment back on. I'll try to address some of the comments in the comments section as well. But for now, I'm just going to address a couple of them. One is from Margaret Christie. She says, "Hi there. Overnight condensation is usually caused by your breath cooling on cold surfaces. I reckon your clothes storage above the bed is actually insulating the ceiling there, which is great. Well planned." And I'm gonna address that first sentence there because I think that's an important comment she just made there. What causes condensation, really? What actually causes it? Well, first of all, don't believe what I say. I'm just a guy trying to figure things out myself as well, and I'm doing my best. Do your own homework on this. But here's what I've found out, okay? Condensation is caused by a condition where air has gotten to the point where the airborne water molecules, the suspended water molecules in the volume of air have gotten saturated to the point where they can no longer hold those water molecules any longer. So those water molecules condense, they turn back into water instead of airborne independent water molecules. That point at which that happens is called the dew point. Now look that up and study it up on it and get that in your head. I'm not saying this as though I'm trying to be an authority on it. I'm just saying that I had to study up on this too and kind of get it in my head around it. And I'm still trying to, I'm still learning. But the thing is, there's a couple things that cause that to happen. One is if you have suspended water molecules in the air, and you're always going to have a certain amount of those. You can have it a high amount or a low amount. That's called humidity. And your body is going to introduce more water into the air and heat. So there's heat transfer from my body into the air around my bed back here. And then it makes its way to the ceiling. Now the ceiling is a very conductive surface. So when that heat gets to the ceiling, it immediately it's like it's sucked out of the air, because that ceiling is a highly conductive metal surface which heat loves. It loves to travel through that. So when it does that, the heat leaves the air which has been expanded because of the heat now suddenly shrinks. The dew point is reached because there's a point at which the saturation of molecules in that little area of air around the skin of my van cannot contain the water anymore. So it turns into little droplets of water that adhere to the surface of the van. So that's my take on it. What do you do about that? Well, that's a good argument for using insulation. Yeah, if you reduce the heat transfer through the walls with insulation, you could in fact reduce the conditions for the dew point to be reached close to the surface. But you're not going to completely get rid of condensation ever. You never really get rid of it. There's always airborne molecules of water, and it's likely they're going to condense somewhere at some time. The question I always have is, where is it condensing that I don't know about? Because I have a horror story about this, by the way. A fellow box truck builder that used to park next to me, I watched him do his whole entire build. He started from, he had a really cool box truck, and he insulated the whole thing very tight. Then he went over the top of the insulation with planks, wide planks, and nice wood planks. It looked really cool, the job he did. And then he had a nice wood stove in there, and he was in there all winter long running that wood stove, heating it up to, I'd go over there and visit him in his van, and it would be like almost like a sauna in there. He was heating the thing up pretty good. Well, halfway through the winter, he started noticing that the cracks between his boards were turning black. And he couldn't figure out what that was. Then he noticed down by his bed, there was this black stuff creeping in. Well, you probably guessed what it is, right? It's mold. And he pulled one of those planks off of his wall, and the entire inside of his walls was covered with mold. And let me tell you guys, he insulated his van, and he still got mold in it. So that's not going to prevent mold by insulating. It has to do with the relative conditions of a lot of things. And one of the reasons I like the bare bones approach here is I want to see what's going on inside my walls as I go, and then deal with it incrementally like that, okay? And there goes that focus again. Come on back, come on back, come on back. Pop back in now. Pop back in, come on. See, I moved, and it doesn't know what to do now. Okay. Wow, I don't know what that does. I mean, it stayed just right. Anyway, so sorry, Margaret, I didn't mean to go off on you like that, but that's just my take on it. And it's perfectly understandable what the person wants to feel warm in the van. She says, don't get me wrong, I like your philosophy of heat, what you need to do and believe in dressing for the conditions, so when it's colder, wear more clothes. But there are times when I do need to disrobe, and then I want my space to be warm. Absolutely. I like to disrobe sometimes too. but the thing is, if that's what you want, and you want your space to always be warm, always be 65 degrees, then yes, you got to insulate. You probably should insulate the whole van, because you're gonna lose energy. I mean, you're gonna waste a lot of energy if you don't insulate the van, because it's just gonna, the heat's just gonna keep transferring right through the walls. I personally have just learned to adapt to the cold getting up in the morning. I run my buddy heater for a few minutes, gets me warm, get right into my clothes, I warm up and I'm fine. And I don't even run my buddy heater for very long at all. Like, I'm sitting here right now in the afternoon, it's a little chilly outside. I don't have my buddy heater running, I have the door open, wide open, and I'm doing my video, and this is how I do things. If it gets cooler, I'll turn it on and set it down here by my desk. And hang on, there it goes again. Doesn't want me to move. If I move, it goes out of focus. Okay, so sometimes I put my buddy heater down by my desk to warm my hands up, and I'll turn it on and off. That's all I need. I don't try to warm the entire volume. Anyway, I guess I made my point on that one. Okay, let me just pause for a minute and look at another question. Okay, here's another one. This is from Brett Easthouse. He says, after 12 years of living in vans, some with bare metal ceilings and truck shells, fiberglass, I've never insulated. Okay, simplicity mindset mostly, but definitely there is value to having something in place for that summer heat transfer that is quite intense with the metal roofs, for sure. Have you noticed the old Toyota Land Cruisers and their double roof construction? Literally a secondary roof suspended on the outside about 1.52 from the main roof. I think this is an insulated idea through shade. I've done the same thing before on my vans and shells, and I'll tell you, it is extremely effective. Hey, you know what? I totally agree with you on this. This is something that I think we're on the same track. Are you able to overnight in your work parking lot? Where do you shower? Keep it on. The answer to that is no. I cannot overnight in my work parking lot, and I don't. It's a highly their surveillance is very high. There's lots of security guards. I don't think they would. I haven't tried to overnight, but I don't know if it's against our company policy, but I'm sure it probably is. So I don't even attempt to try it. I park about 5 minutes away from the place that I work, in a place that's, got, there's no signs posting a limitation on parking or anything. There are a couple of places I rotate around with on that. I shower mostly at my I have two gym memberships. That's where I mostly do my showering. However, I sometimes just do a kind of a bird bath thing in the van. You do what you have to do, right? Okay, here's a comment from Ballygat. Ballygat? Did I say that right? Even though it may not please you, there are laws of physics that do not stop to exist because you don't like what they predict. And even though the air is cooled down before it reaches the ceiling, it does not mean it isn't rising to start with. It just shows that the input of heat is very low compared to the temperature of the surrounding air. Okay, I'll agree on that. I think that's the very same thing I was saying. The air is rising. I'm not saying it's not rising. The heat, though, is what's making the air rise, because the heat is making the air less dense and it floats on top. Heat wants to find the path of least resistance. I was trying to point out that it's a misconception to always go around saying heat rises. It's the warm, less dense air that is rising, and I think you just said that, and so did I. So I think we agree on that. As to the example of the candle, just try to heat up approximately a quarter gallon of water using a candle. It'll take forever and the water will not boil due to heat loss surrounding the air. There simply isn't enough energy in the burning of wax. True, I won't argue with you on that. Again, let me defend my position just a little bit again. I'm not really defending the candle itself. I was just using that as a kind of an example that you can heat up something and warm parts of your body with it, and that can satisfy the cold feeling sometimes. You can heat up a small volume of air around your body with a kotatsu or one of those Japanese heater type
systems and be just fine. Or you can wear good clothing and be just fine. The point I'm making is it necessary, the question is it necessary to heat 420 cubic feet of air to stay warm? Or can I get by with heating a smaller volume of air and be just fine? So I'll concede on the candle argument. Okay, I'll give you that. You can't heat up water with a candle, a gallon of water with a candle. I won't disagree with that one. But I think you can stay warm on a much smaller heat source than 65 degree air inside in 400 cubic feet of air at 65 degrees. I don't think you need that much to stay warm. All right, to heat. Okay, I won't read all this. He's giving some. You can read it on the comments. He gives some numbers here. Fine, I'm not going to argue with that. But all this doesn't surprise me after you mentioned that you listen to Bible lectures at night. Whoever believes in a supernatural entity whose existence has never been proven will also question reason and science. I don't know what that word is at the end there. Too bad. When you started your vlogs, you sounded like a reasonable, thoughtful person. Well, sir, I guess you don't know about Isaac Newton, who defended the Bible and was the father of modern physics, and he's just one of many. I don't think defending Bible verses or listening to Bible verses has anything to do with being an irrational person. Faith and reason certainly go together quite well. Okay, well, anyway, I think that's probably... There's a lot more comments here. I think I covered a kind of a range of comments. I'm certainly open to people disagreeing with me, and keep me honest for sure. If you think what I'm doing isn't right, go ahead and post it. But you know, the only thing I do ask is respectful. I've blocked a few people who are just downright rude, and there's no reason to be rude. But you can disagree with me in a respectful manner, and I'll listen to that because I am a reasonable person. Okay. With that being said, I think this video is already getting way too long, so I'm going to call it a day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a nice evening.